Thanks for listening to the Deepdale podcast. This episode includes chats with 4 different artists who are playing at Deepdale Festival 2023. I talked to the Tin Heart Troubadours, Bring Me the Hearts, Good Habits, and Adam Clark. We're really looking forward to them performing at Deepdale Camping and Rooms at the end of September. And of course, if you can make it to Deepdale Festival 2023 as well, then we'd love to see you. Full information is available on our festival website, deepdalefestival.co.uk, including programme information and ticket information. Enjoy the listen.
Skies all open wide, geese go high and over. Oh, now you're a beachcomber, fistful of samphire, sea, lavender, see you next year.
Chatting to Tin Heart Troubadours. They are going to be playing on Saturday in the Brick Barn. And then I'm also talking to Joseph from Bring Me the Hearts, and they are playing on Sunday in the Brick Barn. Nigel in a stationary vehicle, or a stationary home, should I say, and then Joseph in the very salubrious surroundings of a supermarket car park on his mobile. The Tin Heart Troubadours, some of you will have seen at Deepdale previously, and they are playing on Saturday in the Brick Barn, which I think might be your first time in the Brick Barn. I think you've played in various stages before and the St Mary's Church before, Nigel.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, that's right. I think I might have played in the Brick Barn in a previous incarnation. I think this will be our first time on the big stage.
Excellent. So you're playing on Saturday, and you guys are all Norwich based, is that right?
That's right. Oh, just on the edge of, yeah.
For those who haven't seen you before, what can they expect from the Tin Heart Troubadours?
Well, I always describe our music, and I think I might have made this phrase up, this description, but we describe our sound as American parlor folk music. Now, I don't know if that is actual something you might find in a card in a record shop, but I think it conjures up a certain expectation, which is that we are kind of American folk. We are, but we're not sort of kick-ass Americana style. We're kind of smaller scale than that, and that's partly down to the instrumentation. We have a cello, for instance, and I suppose our emphasis really is on sort of tunes and lyrics, telling stories, really.
Yeah. Give me an idea of who's in the Tin Heart Troubadours.
Okay, so I play guitar and sing. We have Steve Clark, who plays dobro guitar, does some vocals and some backing vocals, and Claire Pastoris, who's a cello player, also does a bit of vocal as well.
How is gigging going at the moment? Is it thoroughly enjoyable? Are you keeping busy?
It's always great to play gigs. It's been slow really since lockdown. I mean, I think that a lot of events that we used to play at, events and venues, closed down and never reopened. And I think everybody's struggled really. There have been a few kind of long-term arrangements which have still yet to come to fruition. So in the meantime, we've been doing a bit of recording. We recorded an EP earlier this year. We're going to do, in fact, this coming weekend is quite exciting. We've got Claire's niece, who is a saxophone player, is coming down with a trumpet player friend of hers from Sheffield, and we're going to rehearse some songs with a brass section, which I've always wanted to do. I think that's always an exciting idea, and I've never managed to do it in my musical career yet. So this weekend we're going to be practicing some of my songs with brass on.
Fantastic. Yeah, because you played with a string quartet in St Mary's Church, which was a
We did.
really lovely sort of expansion of your sound back.
Yeah, that was
Right.
another exciting thing. We a friend of mine who's a viola player said, "Oh, we should put some strings on some of your songs," and I'd never really thought about it until then. And he got a quartet together, and one of the quartet, a guy called Simon Shirley, who's incredibly talented, wrote some string arrangements to go with the songs. And I always find that really, it's so exciting because it's, people adding to songs that you've written in a way that I would never have imagined. And it was terrific. It was a steep learning curve for them who are used to reading dots and staying on in time, and for us who are folk musicians swaying around all over the place. To come together was quite exciting. But we got there, and we recorded some songs with them, and yeah, it was a terrific experience.
You fitted that space so well. It worked really well. It's just
lovely place to
absolutely
play.
Loved it. Yeah, absolutely loved it. Between now and September, have you got a lot of stuff in the diary, or is it all sort of recording?
We've got a few things in the diary. We're playing in October. I think it's October the 14th. We're playing in Shotsham in the church there.
Yeah.
Churches seem to be a nice place to play actually, because the acoustics are always good, and especially the cello always sounds great in churches. And usually they're a group of maybe in a village where there's a very good community feel. So we often get big audiences, and it's intimate, but it's a kind of two-way conversation with an audience, which is definitely the sort of gig that we like playing.
I'm just really enjoying listening to Nigel talk about his band, and quite excited to see it when we come to Deepdale. It's our first time, and we are very excited about it.
The lineup that Chris has put together for this year's program is going to be wonderful. So are you going to be with us all the time, all the way through? Are any of you going to stay through, or are you just coming for your individual gigs?
Well, me and the singer, my wife Eve, are definitely coming down for the whole thing. We really we checked it out, and we were like, yeah, we've got a new camper van, an old camper van we're going to bring down and and proper festival it. I think the other guys, there's four of us. We've got acoustic guitar, Hugh, Aoife, myself, I play keys, and Matt on drums, and we all sing. I think the other guys may have other gigs, so they may come down just on. I think we're playing on the Sunday. Definitely coming for the whole thing, myself and Aoife. We're very excited.
And how about you, Nigel? Are you with us for most of the festival, or are you just popping in for the time you're performing?
I think we'll certainly be around on the Saturday.
The creative process for you both, I'll go with you, Joe. Is it something that's quick, easy, or is it something that takes a long time and is incredibly frustrating? I'm always fascinated how it works for artists.
Yeah, well, our band Bring Me the Heart, which it's very new, and I heard Nigel talking about lockdown and the lack of gigs, and that's basically how we formed. We're based up near Manchester in the Peak District, and we just called it Tuesday Music Club to start with, and we just started getting together playing covers, and then we were all in other bands before that, and we started bringing our own songs to the table. We were lucky in the fact that we had more time than ever because of the lockdown, so we were able to put a lot more effort into creating the songs, which is why we're so pleased with it. Yeah, and when you've all got ideas, it's a bit quicker to sort of put something together. I put somebody's verse with someone's chorus or whatever. So so we've got this new album, which we hopefully it's going to be on vinyl, CD, and released just around the time of Deepdale.
Oh, so fingers crossed there'll be copies for people to buy and for you to sign.
Fingers crossed. I've just literally put the vinyl order in. It's taken ages because of various problems, and they've just said they're going to try and rush it in time for early October. So yeah, hopefully we've definitely got CDs anyway, and it'll be released online by then. But yeah, hopefully we'll be able to stick them on your merch stand. Hopefully.
Fantastic, that's great. And how about you, Nigel? Do you find the kind of creative process is it collaborative with the three of you, or is it quite long and drawn out?
Well, I'm the songwriter.
Right.
And it's taken me an awfully long time to be able to write songs that I think are actually worth performing. Over the years, I've tried many times to write songs, and it's only really with the Tin Heart Troubadours that I've found a sort of vehicle for teasing out songs that I think are worth writing. Usually the music comes first. The lyrics I find difficult to write. I know when they're wrong, and it takes a long time to write. So usually it's the lyrics that hold up the song. But I'm quite lyric heavy with my songs, so they're more like short stories. You know, I mean, I read a lot of short stories, and I think I'm quite influenced by what I read, and especially, you know, I say that we play kind of American style music. None of us are American, but you know, I read a lot of American literature, for instance, and I think American storytellers from the 20th century, whether it's somebody like William Sarian, who was writing at the beginning of the 20th century, through mid-period, you know, John Updike, that kind of writer, right through to people who are writing today, Annie Proulx, Cormac McCarthy, who's just died, sadly. They're very, very good at writing songs about ordinary people having extraordinary things happen to them. And that's a kind of, if I were to try and explain what our songs are about, I think that might be a general theme, really. Yeah. And of course, that goes right back through to Middle Ages, and you know, songs about birds talking to ploughboys, and you know, the kind of mystical element of everyday life. And I guess I think we still write about that, really.
Yeah. And how about you, Joseph? You know, you were influenced by poetry, or kind of you just kind of get a wisp of an idea and it sort of develops from there, or how does it work?
Well, I'm quite happy to say I didn't write any of the lyrics, so I'm more of the music guy. But I mean, musically, I think it just, I mean, I would say it just comes from years of playing with other musicians and learning their songs. My wife Aoife and Hugh, the guitarist, tends to be the lyricist, and I think you know, they, you know, you just absorb it from all, I guess from everything you listen to, but also everybody you play with. You know, it's very. I'd say that's just as important. We tend to form an idea and then let the other guys in the band kind of finish it off. You know, sort of perfect it. This is the way it's been with us. We in the lockdown, we were lucky enough that we sort of spent a lot of the time building a studio. So we've in our back garden. So we just had so much time to bash ideas around, and this is where we recorded the album. And you know, it's been very much a joint process. I've never been in a band where it's been so much of a shared you know, songwriting. We've decided it's a four-way split, and I've been in lots of other bands where it's always somebody brings something to the table and it's their baby, you know, and nobody else can touch it, you know. But this, so yeah, I can't take much of the credit for the lyrics anyway, put it that way. And you'll be glad of that. I'm not a great lyricist, but I'd say our music is, which I think don't you the demo, but it's now the finished album is very eclectic, and we feel slightly shy that we're playing at a folk festival, although it does have quite a lot of folk elements to it. There's also quite a lot of sort of soul and jazz, as you'll hear. And I'm the sort of elephant in the room because it's acoustic guitar, 3-part harmonies, but then I'm sort of playing a synth bass and some sort of slightly jazzy Fender Rhodes on the top of it. So it's a very mixed bag, and it does have beautiful lyrics, but there's a lot more kind of other elements, other eclectic styles of music coming in there. I hope you like it anyway when we play. I can't wait to play it for you all.
I'm sure we will. Nigel will contest to this, that we have quite, I think we describe Deepdale as a kind of a music festival with the heart of folk. So it's kind of, but we've always had interesting, completely different departures from folk, and we love that sort of collaboration thing. So like we were talking about with Nigel having played in St Mary's Church with the string quartet, you know, we love things coming together and mixing and matching. So we always have stuff that definitely doesn't fit particularly well into the folk mold, but our customer base loves being slightly surprised and often challenged in terms of what they enjoy. So they would definitely describe themselves as folk fans, but they're very much more. They're much wider than that. They're big music fans and love that mix and combination of stuff. So I think it'll work really well, and I think you'll quite like the Brick Barn, Joseph. It's an old grain barn that we have adjusted over the years.
I think I've seen photos and it just looked amazing. Yeah, so
and you'll be really pleased to say that you missed the years where the roof leaked and we had to cover PAs in tarpaulins so that we didn't blow anything up. It's all dry now, which is a novel experience. So there we go. I'm going to ask you a difficult question. If we were to play a little sample of one of your tracks, which track would you choose? How about you, Nigel?
That's a very good question, isn't it? Well, if you've got our EP, our most recent recording, probably a bit of a track called Saint Jerome, which is a dark song about a guy on waiting for his execution in prison, and wondering, not being a religious man, wondering whether praying to a statue of St. Jerome is worth the effort, given his backstory, which is pretty grim.
Fantastic. That sounds great. And it's got to be worth listening to.
Pocket watch, it's nothing fine. Won't tell the time, and it's not worth a lousy dime, but it's mine, and all I have to show for 30 years unwound. Now I live forever underground. Oh, Saint Jerome, I have strayed, but I have prayed that the heavens hear a sinner calling. Oh, Saint Jerome, but I've been lost, double-crossed, and I hear my guardian angel calling.
How about you, Joseph? What would you choose from your catalogue?
Well, I was going to say the first track on the new album, Watersigns, but actually, because we're just setting out, there's a song called Something Small. I can't remember which track where it is. It's about halfway through, but it's a sort of, as far as I remember, it's a song about things developing from something small and it just being the start and just carrying on. So it seems very apt. This is our first festival, so yeah, Something Small by Bring Me the Hearts.
We've actually chosen Watersigns by Bring Me the Hearts, as the rest of the album hasn't been released yet, but we are hoping there will be copies available to purchase at Deepdale Festival.
To be the greatest, then you will see our worst. You have to love yourself, put yourself first. Here in a room of fire, he said you are water, cutie, just as powerful, don't underestimate it. I didn't see it yet. Conversation, and you ask everything. You're on your way to find what it is to do.
I am chatting to the very nice people from Good Habits. They're going to introduce themselves in a second. They are playing on Friday in the Orchard at Deepdale Festival. Hello, you two. How are you doing?
Hello, we're very well, thank you. Thank you for having us. Yeah, we are Good Habits. I'm Pete.
And I'm Bonnie. We play cello and accordion, but create, I'd say, slightly unexpected music from those instruments. We describe it as a bit more of an upbeat folk fusion.
Sounds good.
Yeah, fun, and jazzy and poppy, and making fun with the folk that we love.
You haven't been to Deepdale before, but where are you based in the world?
We live up in Manchester.
We're based in Manchester, but before we were based in Manchester, we spent the kind of most formative 3 years traveling all the time as Good Habits. So we are based in Manchester, but we did spend most of the time on the road. But yeah, you're kind of catching us at a rare patch at home in the office.
Excellent. And is this a creative time, or is this we've had so much creativity we need to have a break?
Bit of both.
Yeah, lots of emails.
Yeah.
Lots of gardening. That's the
Yeah.
tackling the garden when we get back for a few days and then going again.
Yeah, that's what it is. Trying to get as many weeds out. It's definitely a creative time in other ways. It's definitely a time to sort of have enough headspace to do a lot more of the kind of businessy, admin-y things that can feel a bit more disparate when you're actually on the road and on the go. But I'd say there's definitely still room for a lot of creative things, because we've got lots of other things that we're working on behind the scenes. So definitely has to be a balance of it all.
What's your best bit about music? Is it the performing, or is it the kind of creativity?
Ooh, I think performing. We are a performance-heavy duo, I'd say. We do a lot of playing. Yeah, just love gigging, love being in the room with people, playing in that environment. That is definitely my favourite part of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Even if we were doing covers, it would be great. We sometimes do covers, but the creativity is nice, but just being able to play music is, the best part, no matter what it is, really.
Yeah, and I think also the kind of the travel and adventure that comes around doing music, I think I particularly like. I couldn't do music without that excitement of being able to sort of go on adventures, whether that's to a new festival that you discover you really love, or sort of to a new part of the country or different country altogether. That's one of my favorite things.
Am I right in thinking you got stuck in New Zealand during COVID? So you that was a proper kind of like, this isn't quite what we were planning sort of thing.
Yeah, being on tour at the beginning of 2020 was a good way to get stuck on the other side of the world for 2 years. So it was great for us. So we got to live in New Zealand for 2 years.
And it was kind of the first thing we did as a duo was to head on this tour to New Zealand, because we just thought, why not just do some kind of quite bonkers, exciting project to actually start the duo. And that was pretty well timed, because it was the beginning of 2020. And I think that also kind of completely explains what we said earlier of just being so, because we were stuck there for 2 years, but there was 18 months in the middle of being completely COVID free. And so we just did as many gigs that we possibly could and spent the whole time touring the country. And so that really just instilled it was very fast paced, and meeting loads of people and collaborating with loads of people, and then obviously exploring the country. And so that just kind of completely instilled a love of doing loads of live performing. And it definitely made us kind of be the kind of duo that take a lot of musical risks on stage, as opposed to having to make sure everything's completely perfect before we get into performance zone. And then in those 2 years, it was kind of so bonkers and manic that it wasn't quite the same balance that I think a lot of other artists have of like creating recorded projects. It was just sort of this bonkers whirlwind. But now that we actually live somewhere, we've got a bit more control.
You have to knuckle down and really produce something, tangible. Yes. Exactly. Yeah.
Which is what we're doing.
Yeah, exactly. Excellent. Well, we are really looking forward to coming to Deepdale. Have you played in Norfolk before?
We've done one gig in Norfolk.
For the first time.
For the first time.
A few months ago.
Yeah, last month.
last month. First time ever being in sort of East Anglia, that side of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is amazing.
So it's got us excited to come back. We played at Anteros Arts.
Right.
Norwich.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful. And we actually quite spontaneously decided to move the gig outside into their beautiful courtyard because it was just such nice weather. And the really sweet thing happened and so we moved everything out and we sort of set up this performance area and it was really gorgeous. And then we, at the right beginning of playing, realized that we could hear a bird's nest of like newly hatched little baby birds, and then blackbirds, and then the mum was sort of flying across the courtyard and getting food and then feeding the birds. So sort of every few songs you'd hear kind of so they're all being fed. So that was our first Norwich experience, like Norfolk experience. So kind of, yeah.
You might well get that at Deepdale when you come. You know, it's you're in the orchard surrounded by the organic farm, Deepdale Farm, and you know, you just never know quite what nature will throw at you, but we will see.
That sounds great. We love it.
If I was going to play a track as a taster for people, what should I play?
Question. I've got 2 songs that come to mind. Maybe Pete and I, we can talk about it.
Our most recent live single is called The Earth Has Moved, and we recorded it at the beginning of the year. And it was sort of by an accident that it was just supposed to be for a live music video. And then the recording was actually pretty good. So we thought, might as well release that.
Yeah.
So that came out.
And we like that one because we think it's a kind of, a good representation of who we are and our sound, and especially it being a live single, kind of it fuses this folk tune, Tie the Ribbons, with our sort of our style of storytelling and songwriting. And the other one you were going to say, Pete, what is it? I was going to say perhaps Or Hitch, which we wrote Pete wrote right at the beginning of our journey. Yeah, right at the beginning, just before we went to New Zealand. And it's this real sort of point where we feel folk meets jazz in our music, because the cello kind of plays this role of a kind of groovy bass line, but it's very much sort of tune led and kind of with the acoustic instruments and this kind of quite like fast flowing vocal melodies. And so even though it was sort of our very first song, I think it still kind of stands as a song that we feel describes us quite nicely.
Well, really lovely to meet you both. Thank you so much for chatting with me. You know, we really look forward to seeing you in the orchard on Friday of Deepdale Festival.
Oh, we're so excited for it. And there's kind of lots of other artists, friends who we've seen that we can't wait to catch their performance there as well. So we can't wait.
Brilliant. Well, nice to meet you guys. Thanks a lot.
Well, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
I built my own world and fixing in a snow globe. The snow would rise up, and then of course it would fall. Until the glass breaks and all the water leaks out. What will the weather be like now, when there's no roof anymore? There's no roof. The earth has moved, I don't want it to, and it breaks as it moves. And do I choose to believe it? Do I leave it? And the earth has moved, I didn't want it to, and it breaks as it moves. And do I choose to believe it? Do I leave it in the past?
I am sitting at home on Zoom, and Adam is sitting in a campsite in Scotland.
That's right.
I thought it'd be lovely to have him on the podcast. He is playing on Saturday in the Orchard. Is that your only? Is that the only form that you're playing in at Deepdale? Because you are a stalwart of playing at Deepdale, and you have been known to appear at other moments in other formats, haven't you? So I thought I'd better just check that you aren't sort of sneaking on stage somewhere else.
Yeah, there's another band name somewhere which you don't recognise, and it turns out to be me. No, this year it's just as myself, solo. So yeah, previously I played there with Cobbler Bob String Band, think I've done with Nobodaddy, maybe with Clark and Zuppardi. Yeah, and some years that's been, I think last year, yeah, certainly there were 2 appearances under different guises, but this year it's just me.
Just you. That's you. And have you played every festival in some shape or form? I can't
Ooh,
remember.
Possibly, yeah.
I think you're part of the
most
kind
years, yeah.
of the Norfolk artists who we had to persuade quite hard to come out to Deepdale, because you all thought from Norwich it seemed like the end of the world, and then you kind of quite liked our customer base who clearly love your music, and we can't get rid of you now. So what can we say?
Yeah, we came for the gig, we stayed for the coffee. I don't know. It was yeah, absolutely. When I guess it was a bit off the radar when you first started putting music on, but once we'd been there and played, and the warm welcome we got from you, from Chris, and the rest of the team there, it was just that's different than you get a lot of places. The sense that you were curating something special up there, that there is and that your customers, your audience, your community that you're building is really receptive to the sorts of music that I make and that other people make, and are just open-minded. It's a no-brainer. Why wouldn't you want to keep coming back?
Yeah, well, I'm glad you guys do. It's great, and it's such a lovely collection of Norwich artists who are coming back, and Jess is joining us again this year after a long break, so it's just going to be kind of like gathering all of you back at Deepdale. It's going to be great. So
George is doing a solo slot as well. George Shackleton.
Yeah, Nick's doing a solo slot. So it's funny, how we love watching how kind of your musical journeys kind of intertwine, and then disperse, and then come back again, and all sorts of different things. So it's lovely.
Yeah, and it's a lovely thing about the music in Norwich is it's very collaborative. People can go off and do their own thing and then come back together and work as a band, and there's always new formulations of players together, and it's lovely to be able to bring those to Deepdale in their various manifestations.
Yeah, it's great, and the customer base love it, so that's fantastic. Are you managing to do quite a lot of touring at the moment? Which is your favorite thing? Is it being on stage, or is it creating?
That's a great question. So at the moment, I'm heads down in working on my solo album. So that's sort of where I'm at the moment. I've been doing a few gigs and still playing with the Cobbler Bob String Band quite a bit. But at the moment, I'm trying to so this set of English folk music that I've been working on for the last couple of years, that I debuted at Deepdale last year. I'm trying to record that and get that coherent. So it's mostly Norfolk or East Anglian derived songs, so mostly traditional songs that have been sung or about Norfolk. So at the moment, I'm sort of trying to bring all that together and do it justice as a recorded project.
Yeah,
I love playing live, but it's a different energy. Going into the studio, you have to sort of, it's a more precise thing, I guess. It's a more you have to generate the energy. You have to sort of make the moods and the modes that you're trying to get down on. I was going to say on tape because I'm quite old, but you're trying to get down into the noughts and the ones. Whereas live, obviously, you've got an audience. You maybe have other musicians to work off, and there's a different energy that's sort of depending on the room you're in and the people that's there, whatever's going on, can be very energizing. Whereas in the studio, it definitely, you have to get to the right headspace. Both have their challenges, both have their advantages.
Yeah. And do you find the creative process is quite quick for you, or do you find it's quite a long, sort of tortuous process?
It varies. It depends. So songwriting, I usually find, can be quite quick. And arranging traditional material, I can often get to that quite quickly. The process of then finalizing those and committing them to a recording, I personally find quite tortuous. I think there's something about saying this is like the definitive version of this, because live each time is different and it's lovely, and you go, oh, that was really good tonight, or oh, not sure that quite worked, I'll do it differently. When you record, there's something about it being like, right, I'm committing this down, and this is my definitive version of John Barleycorn or whatever it might be, that somehow I personally find quite daunting. So often I can find it I have to do multiple takes go back, listen to it, think, oh no, I'm still not happy with it. So the recording, for me, recording is an opportunity to beat myself up repeatedly until such time as I can just about live with what I've come up with. So I think the answer is no, it's not quick, and yes, it's quite tortuous to record.
Excellent. Yeah, a bit of self-flagellation is always, always great for the productive process. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, I think this is why maybe great artists of yesteryear have used an awful lot of drugs, just to kind of quieten some of that.
Self-doubt. Yes, stop the voices, stop the self-doubt. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, man, we're really looking forward to having you back at Deepdale. Looking forward to hearing how the project is developing, and and I'm assuming from what you've said that the album won't be ready in time for the festival, so you'll be doing signed copies.
I doubt it'll be ready. Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping to have it recorded, fully recorded by then. But whether I'll have it actually available for sale, I think is unlikely. Especially as there's the small matter of a child entering the frame, a baby entering the frame at the end of August. So that I don't know. Does that have an influence on how much you can get done in life?
I believe it does have an influence. Okay. Yes, I think varied amounts, depending. Depends on how creative you are at 3 o'clock in the morning when you've been woken by a small child that just wants to know that it's loved. Yeah. So yeah, you might find it helps your creative process dramatically.
We shall see. I think I'll probably have to become a bit more focused anyway in those moments when it is an opportunity. So yeah, I suspect I won't have it available, but hopefully in subsequent years I will be able to share it with the world.
Fantastic. Well, we look forward to seeing you. And Adam is playing on Saturday in the Orchard. If we were to play one of your tracks, so a little sample, what would you choose?
Oh, from something I've got recorded already.
Yeah.
I tell you what would be good is because of the local colour. So from the Clark Zuppardi album, which we released a few years ago, called "You Eye in the Sky," the first track on there is called "Salthouse Creek." And that was a tune I wrote when I was at Salthouse, just down the road, down the coast a bit from you guys. So yeah, Salthouse Creek.
Fantastic. Well, lovely to speak with you. Enjoy the rest of the time in Scotland, and we look forward to meeting the new addition to your musical world when we're at the festival. So
looking forward to it. Yeah. Cheers, Jason.
Cheers, man. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Deepdale podcast. Lovely to have you with us, and so nice to talk to so many great artists. There will be at least a couple more in the series for Deepdale Festival 2023 as we catch up with other artists who are going to be playing at the festival this year. Of course, you can join us at the festival still. There are day tickets available. Just head to deepdalefestival.co.uk. The event takes place from the 21st to the 24th of September at Deepdale Camping and Rooms on the beautiful North Norfolk coast. We hope we will see you there.
skies all open wide, geese go high and over. Oh, now you're a beachcomber, fistful of sandfire, sea, lavender, sea.